Have you ever woken up and realized your entire life changed overnight? What if one reckless night, one mistake, one blood memory tied you to a stranger forever? Would you call it fate or a curse? Samantha Green never thought her best friend's bachelorette party would flip her life upside down. She wasn't even a heavy drinker, but that night, she drank more than she could have. The music was loud, the laughter endless, and the glasses of tequila kept coming. The last thing she remembered was tumbling out of the club, giggling with her heels in her hands, a stranger beside her. When she woke up the next morning, her head pounding, she wasn't in her bed. Instead, she was in a hotel room, and on her finger, a ring, a gold wedding band. Panic shot through her veins. She turned slowly, and there he was, a man she had never seen before in her life, lying beside her, equally shocked. "Who are you?" she blurted out, clutching the blanket. "James Carter," he said, rubbing his temples, "and apparently your husband." The hours that followed were chaos. Neither Samantha nor James remembered much, but the evidence was clear: a marriage certificate signed and stamped. Somehow, in their drunken state, they had walked into a chapel and gotten married. James wasn't just some random man. He was an ambitious lawyer, sharp and composed, the complete opposite of her free-spirited artistic self. They argued instantly. She wanted an annulment. He insisted on sorting things out properly. But life had other plans. The more they tried to undo what happened, the more complications arose. Samantha's strict parents found out and demanded she take the marriage seriously. After all, in their eyes, a marriage was sacred, no matter how it began. And James, he was hiding something. Samantha soon discovered James wasn't just a lawyer. He was the son of a powerful businessman, groomed to inherit a family empire. His parents, seeing their accidental marriage, pushed them to stay together. For James, backing out wasn't so simple. At first, they both hated the situation, the fights, the misunderstandings, the awkward moments of living together as husband and wife, when they were practically strangers. But slowly, very slowly, something shifted. The late night arguments turned into deep conversations. The tension turned into laughter, and beneath all the chaos, there was an undeniable connection. Still, trust wasn't easy. Samantha couldn't shake the fear that James was only keeping her around for appearances. And James, he carried scars from a past relationship that made him question if love was even real. Every step forward seemed to come with 2 steps back, and just when Samantha thought she could finally let her guard down, a shocking revelation about James's past came crashing in, threatening to tear them apart before they could even understand what they had. Samantha stared at James in disbelief, her hands trembling as she held the file she had found on his desk. She hadn't meant to snoop, but curiosity had gotten the better of her, and what she saw shook her. A picture of James with a woman, a wedding photo. Her heart sank. The door creaked open and James walked in. His face went pale when he saw what she was holding. "You were married before?" Samantha's voice cracked, tears threatening to spill. James froze, his jaw tightening. "It's not what it looks like." "Then explain," she demanded, her voice rising. "Because right now it looks like I got drunk, married a stranger, and that stranger already belongs to someone else." James ran a hand through his hair. "Pacing, her name was Claire. She was my fiancée. She died 3 years ago in a car accident. I never told anyone," because his voice faltered, "because I never really let her go." Silence filled the room. Samantha's anger softened, but the weight of his confession made her chest heavy. She had been falling for a man still chained to a ghost. But just as she tried to process everything, a new storm came knocking, literally. A loud bang at the door startled them both. When James opened it, a woman stood there, tall, confident and furious. "James Carter," she hissed. So this is where you've been hiding. Samantha blinked. And you are? The woman smirked. His ex. And trust me, sweetheart, this marriage, it won't last. The days that followed were a whirlwind. James tried to reassure Samantha that his past had no hold on his future, but doubts consumed her. Everywhere she went, whispers followed, from his colleagues, from his family, even from strangers who knew his story. Was she just a rebound? An accident James was forced to accept? Her once carefree life felt like a cage tied to a man she didn't fully trust. Yet deep down, she couldn't ignore the way her heart raced when he touched her hand. The way he defended her when others mocked their drunken marriage. All the softness in his eyes when he looked at her. And then came the biggest twist yet. One night, as they were finally starting to enjoy each other's company, James's phone rang. He stepped out to answer, his expression darkening. One night, as they were finally starting to enjoy each other's company, James's phone rang. He stepped out to answer, his expression darkening. When he returned, Samantha saw the panic in his eyes. What happened? She asked. James swallowed hard. My father's company is on the brink of collapse, and they think you are the reason. Her stomach dropped. Me? What do I have to do with your company? James looked at her with a mix of fear and regret. They think you are a distraction, and now they want me to choose the business or you. Samantha's chest tightened at James's words. A distraction? She wanted to laugh at the absurdity, but the look in his eyes told her this wasn't a joke. So what now? She whispered. James hesitated. My father, he gave me an ultimatum. End this marriage or walk away from the company. Her heart sank, but before she could respond, James reached for her hand. I don't want to lose you, Sam, but you don't understand. Everything I've worked for, my future, is tied to that company. If I walk away, I lose everything. Samantha pulled her hand back, her eyes burning with tears. You think I don't understand? James, I've been treated like a mistake ever since we got married. Your family looks at me like I don't belong. Your ex throws daggers at me every chance she gets. And now your father wants me out of the picture. Do you even know how exhausting this is? James opened his mouth but shut it again, guilt washing over his face. That night, Samantha couldn't sleep. She sat by the window of the apartment, staring at the city lights. Questions tormented her. Was she strong enough to fight for this marriage? Or was she just clinging to something doomed from the start? The following morning, things only grew worse. Photos of her and James, taken during an argument on the street, splashed across social media. Headlines screamed, James Carter's drunken wife, a scandal he can't escape. Samantha's phone buzzed with endless notifications. Her art clients began cancelling. Friends stopped calling, and even her parents, who had once insisted she honor the marriage, began to suggest maybe it was better to let it go. She felt like the whole world was against her. But then came the twist she never expected. While packing some of her belongings in frustration, she found a letter tucked inside James's desk drawer. It was addressed to her. Her hands shook as she unfolded it. Samantha, I don't know how to say this to your face, but from the moment I woke up beside you that morning, something in me changed. You have been chaos in my ordered life, laughter in my silence, fire where I was cold. I don't know what this marriage means yet, but for the first time in years, I want to find out. With you, tears blurred her vision. She hadn't realized how much James had been holding back. But just as her heart began to soften, her phone rang. It was her best friend, Lily. Sam, you need to get out of there. Lily's voice trembled. I overheard something last night. James's ex is working with his father. They want to push you out, and they have a plan to make it look like James was never truly yours. Samantha froze, the letter still clutched in her hand. Lily, what do you mean? There was a pause. Then Lily whispered, they are planning to annul the marriage without your consent. Samantha's breath caught in her throat. Annul the marriage without my consent? She clutched the phone tighter. Lily, are you sure? I'm positive, Lily whispered urgently. I overheard James's father's assistant at a restaurant. They are pulling strings through the courts, using his connections. If you don't act fast, Sam, you'll wake up one day and find out your marriage never existed. Her legs felt weak. She sank onto the edge of the bed, the letter from James still crumpled in her hand. When James came home later that night, she confronted him. "Tell me the truth," she demanded, her eyes locked on his. "Did your father try to annul this marriage?" James looked stunned. "What? No, that's impossible." "Don't lie to me, James," she snapped, her voice breaking. "I deserve the truth. If you don't want me, just say it. But don't let your family humiliate me like this." His face hardened, frustration flickering in his eyes. "Sam, I've been fighting with my father every day since we got married. Do you think I would let him erase you from my life?" Her tears betrayed her anger. "Then why does it feel like you're always choosing them over me?" James fell silent. The weight of her words pressed down on him. But before he could answer, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, his expression darkening. Samantha saw the name flash across the screen. Claire's sister. Her heart dropped. "Why is she calling you?" Samantha asked, her voice trembling. James hesitated, then answered the call. "Hello?" He turned his back as he listened. But Samantha could hear the faint voice on the other end, urgent, emotional. When he finally hung up, his face was pale. "What is it?" she asked cautiously. James ran a hand over his face. "Claire's sister. She said there's something about Claire's death I never knew. And she swears it has everything to do with my father." Samantha's blood ran cold. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The air between them was thick with secrets, betrayals, and an invisible wall pulling them apart. Finally, James whispered, almost to himself, "If what she's saying is true, then my father has been lying to me for years. And this marriage," he turned to Samantha, his eyes filled with something fierce, something new. "This marriage might be the only truth I have left." Before Samantha could reply, a knock thundered at the door. When James opened it, two men in suits stood there. One of them handed him a brown envelope. "You've been served," the man said coldly. James ripped open the envelope. Inside was a court notice. His father had officially filed for annulment. James's hands trembled as he held the court papers. Samantha stood frozen, her heart racing, unsure whether to scream or cry. "They really did it," she whispered. "Your father wants me erased from your life, officially." James clenched his jaw, anger flashing in his eyes. He thinks he can control everything, my career, my choices, even my marriage. But not this time. For the first time since their whirlwind wedding, Samantha saw something unshakable in James. Defiance. But her relief was short-lived. Later that night, while James was on a tense phone call with his lawyer, Samantha's phone buzzed with a private number. She hesitated, then answered. A voice, low and urgent, whispered on the other end, "Leave James before it is too late. His family won't stop until you're out of the picture." "Who is this?" Samantha demanded, her voice shaking, but the line went dead. She stared at her phone, dread coiling in her stomach. Who was warning her? And why did it sound less like an advice and more like a threat? The following day, James and Samantha attended a tense family meeting at his parents' mansion. The long dining table, polished to a shine, felt more like a courtroom than a family home. James's father, stern and calculating, spoke first. "Son, this arrangement has gone on long enough. That girl," he glanced at Samantha, his tone cold, "is not part of this family. Sign the annulment papers and you will have your future secured." Samantha felt her face burn. "With all due respect, sir," she said softly but firmly, "your son isn't a business deal. He's a man. And I am his wife." A hush fell over the room. Even James's mother, who had stayed silent all along, looked startled by Samantha's courage. But James's father only smirked. "Brave words, young lady. But marriage is built on drunken mistakes don't last. Sooner or later you will walk away. I'm simply speeding up the process." James slammed his hands on the table, startling everyone. "No, father. For once, you don't get to decide my life. This marriage may have started as a mistake, but it is the best mistake I've ever made." Samantha's heart ached at his words, a mixture of hope and fear battling inside her. But just when it seemed like James had finally taken his stand, his father leaned back with a sly smile. "Very well, son. If you choose her over the company, then you leave me no choice. The truth about Claire's accident will come out. And when it does, both of you will regret it." James stiffened, his face draining of color. Samantha reached for his hand under the table. "What does it mean?" she whispered. James shook his head slowly, his eyes fixed on his father. He knows something about Claire's death, something he has been hiding all these years. And in that moment, Samantha realized their fight wasn't just about saving a marriage. It was about uncovering the dangerous secrets of the Carter family. The courtroom was packed, tension hanging in the air like a storm about to break. James and Samantha sat side by side, hands clasped tightly, while his father's legal team presented their case for annulment. To the world, Samantha was a reckless girl who had trapped a successful man in a drunken marriage. But when it was their turn to speak, James rose to his feet, his voice steady. This marriage wasn't planned. It wasn't traditional, but every day since, I have had the choice to walk away, but I haven't. Not because of obligation, but because of what I have found in Samantha. She's more than a headline, more than a mistake. She's the only person who has shown me what it means to live honestly, not under my father's shadow. Whispers spread across the courtroom. Samantha's eyes brimmed with tears, but before the judge could respond, James's father stood abruptly. His face was pale, his composure cracking. "You think she's honest?" he barked. "She knows nothing of what this family has sacrificed." James turned to him. "Then tell me, father, tell us all. What really happened to Claire?" The room fell silent. For a long moment, his father said nothing. Then, in a trembling voice, he confessed. Claire's accident wasn't random. It had been covered up to protect the family name. The truth, long buried, spilled out like poison. Gasp filled the room. Samantha's grip tightened on James's hands. The judge, disturbed by the revelation, dismissed the annulment. The marriage would stand. Outside the courtroom, James and Samantha embraced. The battle had scarred them both, but it has also revealed something deeper. Strength they didn't know they had, and love forged in fire. Moral of the lesson: love is not about perfection, but about choice. Samantha and James didn't begin with a fairy tale, yet their decision to fight for each other gave their story meaning. No matter how powerful or controlling others may be, true happiness comes from living your own truth. James's family tried to bury the past, but only when the truth surfaced could healing and justice begin. Samantha, once dismissed as a mistake, proved braver than anyone imagined, standing tall when the world doubted her. And in the end, their drunken beginning became the very path that led them to discover courage, truth, and a love that was anything but ordinary. James's and Samantha's marriage didn't begin with flowers, music, or vows under the stars. It began with confusion, anger, and a drunken mistake. But sometimes what seems like chaos is the very thing life uses to bring two people together. After standing against lies, betrayal, and family pressure, James and Samantha finally realized that love isn't about how you start. It is about how you choose to continue. Their story teaches us that no matter what others say, no matter how messy the beginning may look, true love is built on trust, courage, and the decision to fight for each other every single day. If this story touched your heart, tell us in the comments what lesson stood out the most to you. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss more powerful stories like this one.
Jubosmiles forever, the magic we explore.
Because love stories aren't always perfect, but they can still be unforgettable.